Hi all, welcome back to a new session. Today we are going to discuss about a very important topic, that is mental retardation. What is mental retardation? Let us see the definition. So it is significantly sub-average general intellectual functioning associated with significant deficit or impairment in adaptive functioning which manifests during the developmental period, that is under 18 years of age. So it is significantly sub-average, that is below average general intellectual functioning. So there is a developmental problem in the intellectual functioning, as well as there is an impairment in the adaptive functioning. You can see the red highlighted texts. That is, there is above average, that below average general intellectual functioning, and also there is a significant deficit or impairment in adaptive functioning, the social adaptation, the adaptation of the person to the community or to the environment is also impaired. Not only the intellectual capacity, but also the adaptive functioning is impaired, and both together is the problem in mental retardation, and that too it should manifest before 18 years of age. That's very important. During the developmental period itself it should be manifested, then only we can call it as mental retardation. So this is the definition of mental retardation. Once again, significantly sub-average general intellectual functioning associated with significant deficit in or impairment in adaptive functioning which manifests during the developmental period, that is before 18 years. Hope you understood. So let us see what are the causes of mental retardation. You can see in the slide given. First one is genetic. That is, it will count for about 5% of the cases. Under the genetic, first one is chromosomal abnormalities. So there are several chromosomal abnormalities. For example, Down syndrome, Fragile X syndrome, Turner syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome. All these can contribute to mental retardation. Then the second important genetic cause is inborn errors of metabolism. So which are the inborn errors of metabolism? It will be manifested in various food items like amino acids, lipids, carbohydrates, purines, mucopolysaccharides also. All these inborn errors of metabolism can affect the person's intellectual development. Examples like phenylketonuria, homocystinuria, Tay Sachs disease, Gaucher's disease, Lesch-Nyhan syndrome. So many are there. In all these conditions, the brain development of the individual is impaired, and thereby the person can result in mental retardation. So that's inborn errors of metabolism. Next is single gene disorder. Single gene disorder. Which are the examples of single gene disorder? Tuberous sclerosis and neurofibromatosis. Then another cause under the genetic is cranial anomalies. For example, microcephaly, small head. So in that case, the brain development will be minimal. That can also affect the individual, resulting in mental retardation. So genetic causes are chromosomal abnormalities, inborn errors of metabolism, single gene disorder, and cranial anomalies. Then the perinatal causes, in and around the birth time, what happens? First one is infections. You have heard of torch infections, toxoplasmosis, rubella, cytomegalovirus, and herpes. So these infections can predispose the infant or the child or the baby to develop mental retardation. Next is prematurity, early birth before the actual date of delivery. So that is prematurity. Then birth trauma. During the birth procedure, the child may develop some trauma. So that is another cause. Very important. We health personnel has to be very careful about this. Then hypoxia. The initial birth cry of the infant, if dead, the infant may go for hypoxia. So in that case, the brain hypoxia may damage some brain areas which will result in mental retardation. Then intrauterine growth retardation. Then kernicterus, the high bilirubin content which affect the brain. Then placental abnormalities, various placental abnormalities which diminish the circulation to the fetus. Then drugs during first trimester, very important. We should not administer any kind of drugs during the first trimester. So we should not administer any kind of drug during the first trimester. Very important. Then third one is acquired physical disorders in childhood. That is, it for about accounts for about 2 to 5% of cases, and it also include infections especially affecting the brain, that is encephalopathies, then cretinism, then trauma, lead poisoning, cerebral palsy, etc. All these conditions are acquired physical disorders in childhood, normally born infant and later on developing mental retardation. These are the causes. It accounts for about 2 to 5% of the cases. The next is socio-cultural cases. You can see it is 15%. Major portion of the causes are socio-cultural. Very, very important. What is the major reason? That is deprivation of socio-cultural stimulation. There is no socio-cultural stimulation or less stimulation in the nowadays infants when they are living in the nuclear families. There is least exposure to human touch and human care. So that can also result in socio-cultural deprivation, and the person will develop mental retardation. So very, very important, socio-cultural stimulation. It accounts for about 15% of the cases. Next is psychiatric disorders. So the infant can have psychiatric disorders. For example, pervasive developmental disorders. Pervasive developmental disorders. Example is autism. You might have heard of autism. So in majority of the autistic children, there is associated mental retardation. Then another cause is childhood onset schizophrenia. Childhood onset schizophrenia can also be a cause of mental retardation. Next is classification of mental retardation. It's a very important aspect, classification. So on the basis of IQ or intelligence quotient, we are classifying mental retardation into different types. So what is IQ? It's a very important question. What is IQ? It is mental age divided by chronological age into 100. MA by CA into 100. That is the formula of IQ. You have to remember this. It's very important. Then what is the classification based on the IQ level? That is, first one is mild mental retardation. The IQ range is 50 to 70. So before that, I have to stress one thing. The sub-average general intellectual functioning, we have already discussed in the definition. So sub-average means below 70. Above 70 to 100, it is considered as normal IQ, and 70 to 100 or 70 to 110 is the normal range of IQ, whereas below 70 is considered mental retardation level. So here mild mental retardation is below 70 and up to 50, that is 50 to 70. The next is moderate mental retardation is 35 to 50. Severe mental retardation is 20 to 35, and below 20 it is profound mental retardation. You have to remember this IQ range and the classification. It's very, very important. Then we will discuss about mild mental retardation. So it is the commonest type of mental retardation. Mild mental retardation is the commonest type. You can see 85 to 90% of all the cases are mild mental retardation cases, and these people develop like normal children with very little deficit and often progress up to 6th standard. They can study even up to 6th standard normally, and then only they will have difficulty in study. So they can develop like normal children and can achieve vocational and social self-sufficiency with little support, and most of the time they can perform their own work as well as their own personal care without any support or minimum support. That is the importance of mild mental retardation. And only under stressful conditions or in the presence of an associated disease they need supervised care. When the person needs some support, that's in case of associated diseases or in case of some stressful conditions only, they need some supervision. Otherwise they will do all things on their own. That is the importance of mild mental retardation. Then what is the other name for this group? The group is referred to as educable group. Very, very important. It is referred to as educable group in the previous educational classification of mental retardation. Previously, we have classified mental retardation based on the educability. So in that group, this group is called educable group. That is mild mental retardation, 50 to 70 IQ range. Then next is moderate mental retardation. It accounts for about only 10% of the total cases, and these people are called trainable. The mild is called educable and moderate is called trainable. These children can learn to speak, they can speak their language, and they drop out of school after second class or second standard. They will be dropping out of school after second standard and can be trained to support themselves by performing semi-skilled or unskilled work under supervision. They can be trained to work semi-skilled or unskilled work under supervision, and they will be destabilized by mild stress. A mild stress can destabilize them from their adaptation, and their work will be best under supervised occupational setting. So they need a supervision, but they can work. That is called trainable group or moderate mental retardation, that is 35 to 50 IQ range. Next is severe mental retardation. Severe mental retardation. They are often recognized early in life because they are severe mental retardation. We will be able to recognize them early in life itself with poor motor development. The child will not develop motor development. So there will be delayed milestones. Developmental milestones will be delayed significantly, and there will be absent or marked delayed speech or other communication skills. And training in personal health care can be given, and they can be taught to talk. They perform simple tasks under close supervision and are called as dependent. So the first one is educable group, second one is trainable group, and the third one, that is severe mental retardation, is dependent group. And the IQ range is 20 to 35. And the last one, or the very severe mental retardation, called profound mental retardation. These account for about 1 to 2% of all persons with mental retardation, and achievement of developmental milestones is markedly delayed and often need nursing care or life support, and these people are called life support group. Other groups, you know what is the other names of other groups? Educable group and trainable group, then dependent group, and the last one is life support group. And they are often need nursing care or life support under a carefully planned and structured environment, such as group homes or residential placements. So they need constant supervision. Constant supervision is very, very essential for these groups, that is profound mental retardation group. Next is commonly used tests for measurement of intelligence. So you should at least know the names of these tests so that you can understand from the multiple choice questions. So first one is Seguin-Fombo test. Then Stanford Binet Simon or Binet Kamath test. Then Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children, that is WISC, for 6.5 to 16 years of age is the age group. Then Wechsler's Preschool and Primary Scale of Intelligence, that is WPPSI, for 4 to 6.5 years of age. Then Bhatia Battery Performance Test. Then Bhatia Battery Performance Test. Then Raven's Progressive Matrices. So these are the commonly used intelligence tests to assess the intelligence quotient of the child. Then for the adaptive behavior, the tests used for measuring the adaptive behavior include Vineland Social Maturity Scale, that is VSMS. Then Denver Development Screening Test. You might have seen in pediatrics and all, Denver Development Screening Test. Then Jessel's Developmental Scale. So these are some of the examples for tests used for assessment of adaptive behavior. Then we will discuss about the management of mental retardation. As of now, mental retardation does not have any cure, but we can prevent the mental retardation at various levels. So it can be discussed under primary, secondary and tertiary prevention. So what is primary prevention, what is secondary prevention, and what is tertiary prevention? We have already discussed in another class under community health nursing. You just go and see that video. That's very useful for you making concepts. Then what is primary prevention in mental retardation? That is improvement in socio-economic condition. Then education of public, medical measures for good perinatal medical care. Then universal immunization of children, facilitating research activities to study the causes and treatment, then genetic counseling of at-risk parents. So all these are aimed at preventing the development of a child or the birth of a child with mental retardation, that is primary prevention. Next is secondary prevention, that is early detection and treatment of preventable disorders. So many disorders we have already told in the genetic cause and all. So many disorders can predispose mental retardation. So such disorders, if early found and treated, it will prevent mental retardation. Next is early detection of handicaps in sensory, motor, or behavioral areas with early remedial measures and treatment. So if the person has any handicaps in case of, for example, blindness or hearing impairment, all these prevent sensory stimulation and the child may go to a stage of mental retardation. If it is found early, we will treat it early, the person will be normal. Then early treatment of correctable disorders like infections with antibiotics, then skull configuration problems. We can surgically correct the skull configuration problems. So that is about the early treatment of correctable disorders. Next is early recognition of presence of mental retardation. If the child has mental retardation is identified early, we can rehabilitate the child very early so that the developmental delay will be minimal and the child can be a near normal child. Then regarding the tertiary prevention, adequate treatment of psychological and behavioral problems and behavioral modification using principles of positive and negative reinforcement. This positive and negative reinforcements we have already discussed under behavior therapy. Then rehabilitation in vocational, physical and social areas. So once the child has already developed mental retardation, we have to rehabilitate the child to live a optimum life. So that is possible through vocational, physical and social areas rehabilitation. Then parental counseling. The parents will be very stressed because their life itself is got changed once a child is born. So they need a very important stress counseling sessions so that their stress will be taken out of them and they will feel somewhat normal or near normal life with their mentally retarded child. It's very distress situation for any family to have a mentally retarded child. So it's very important, that is core aspect is parental counseling. Then institutionalization or residential care for individuals with profound mental retardation. In case of profound mental retardation, they are, I told you before, it's a life support group. They need constant care and support. So most of the time they need institutionalization and a nursing care or residential care will be very much needed. So that is regarding the tertiary prevention, and we will see some of the legislations related to mental retardation. The first one is Persons with Disability Act 1995 and Nations Trust Act 1999. You just remember the act and the year. It can be a question. So that's all about today's class. Study well and achieve your aims. All the best.